Hey everyone, it's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. It is Saturday, August 16th, and I'm going to jump right into it. So I took a few days off, and since then, this past Tuesday, there was a city council meeting. Right prior to the meeting was a very short special ordinance and rules subcommittee meeting regarding two complaints that were filed for open meeting law violations. I was one of the people who filed one of those complaints, which for those of you that do follow me, it should be no surprise that I did do that. I talked about it in the video, one or two videos prior to it. And I believed and do believe it was a legitimate complaint. I put a lot of thought into it. It was not frivolous. It was the way it was treated. So you fill out the complaint and you print the paperwork from the Attorney General's website. You fill out the paperwork, you bring it into the city clerk's office, and they stamp it, do what they do there, and add it to the agenda, which is what happened. Now, I went down there, and they were very nice to me. City clerk's office is always very professional, very friendly. Anyway, I went down there. I handed it in. I got 2 copies for myself. And surprisingly, I get an email, I think later that day. It could have been the next day. I'm not positive on that. But I get an email addressed from the city of Pittsfield, from city clerk, addressed to Karen and Michael. And I went, what is this? And I called Karen Kalinowski because she's one of the people I did speak to about this. We talked in comment back and forth on the post, and I spoke to her on the phone about it. But that's how I found out she actually filed a complaint, is I got an email addressed to both of us. So I just want to be clear about this. I don't know if that was just a formality and it saves them time or whatever, and it was just how it went on the agenda. But that wasn't a joint complaint with somebody. I went and filed my own complaint. And Karen Kalinowski did too, and I was glad she did because she was in attendance. The information that I'm accused of this being frivolous or I had some kind of motivation behind it, which is hysterical to me because I take the system very serious, and I think most people who have followed me know that. Absolutely know that. I've never filed a complaint before. I took this very serious. And to deliberate on something doesn't mean they sit there and go take a vote. It means they discuss, they're deliberating, they're discussing the topic amongst each other. Now, the accusation that I made was 6 city councilors, 3 of which were also ordinance and rules members. So you had a simple voting majority of the city council, and you also had a voting majority of the Ordinance and Rules Committee that were in attendance at a meeting held at St. Stephen's Church, I believe, in the basement. I was told it was somewhere between maybe 40, 45 people. So basically 15% of that audience was city councilors. And maybe 20% or more of that audience was city councilors, former city councilors, maybe some other politicians. So we're not talking about, when the counselor said, we never talked to each other. We didn't even know each other were there. I mean, that part, come on. When they said they investigated it, basically Counselor White, when it got to the city council, said, I looked into it. We did a thorough investigation, and the only thing I found that threw me off was how wonderful I am, basically. I mean, they just kind of shrugged it off as a joke. It was so insulting during the ordinance and rules part of it. So Counselor Lampiazzi reads the complaint, and then at the end of it, now I had attached screenshots of comments with the Ward 7 counselor, Rhonda Sear, that started this. I saw an article. It was one of the opinion pieces on the Pittsfield, Mayor Marchetti's Pittsfield encampment proposal. Debate over Pittsfield encampment proposal deserves, and it was one of their opinion pieces. After a forwarding vote from the Ordinance and Rules Committee, Mayor Peter Marchetti's controversial proposal to ban sleeping on public property will go before the full Pittsfield City Council on August 12th. That's what the article was. Okay? And so I've been following this like a lot of people and have a lot of interest in it. As many of you know, I'm not for this camping ban. So anyway, Counselor Sear, Rhonda Sear, was on there, and I think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. If I'm not, it's not intentional. So she made a comment that threw me off. And that's what started this whole conversation. So let me just pull that up. Right here, she put, and this is, I'll put these up. I'll put the screenshots of them up. So she put, there was a very good meeting between both sides last night. There is hope for a solution. Right? And then she goes on again in another post, and I'll put my responses if they're relevant. I don't see where they are, because, although I will, because she said, then I started in on her. She said that in the meeting. I put both sides. I'm curious who the spokespeople are for these two sides. I'm glad you had a meeting. I'm assuming this was in compliance with the open meeting laws, and the general public was properly notified of said meeting. Were there more than 3 current city councilors and elected officials at this meeting? It went back nowhere. Was there anything disrespectful towards her? She said, hi, Mike, you brought up a good point. Yes, we have to be aware of open meeting laws, but this was a community-sponsored event that was open to the public and included a good amount of the people on both sides of the issue. So yes, it was done right, and it was very productive. And then she ends up telling me to call the Attorney General. But those two are important. Why is that? Because after Counselor Lampiazzi, who, as the chair of the Ordinance and Rules, so she reads my complaint, and then she ends it with, I will stop there because I don't have the text messages. And this is quote verbatim. I will stop there because I don't have the text messages. I don't even know if they are relevant, because they are not. Now, the text messages she's referring to are the screenshots from the Berkshire Eagle article. So right after that, it gets to Counselor Rhonda Sear, the Ward 7 counselor again, because Kathy Amuso spoke, and I thought she was fair. She wasn't at the meeting. She asked the city solicitor if there was validity to this complaint, and he said, well, it's hard to say. Well, there's validity to any complaint if it gets in, but it's got to be investigated. This wasn't some frivolous complaint. There were 6 city councilors there. That's enough for a quorum. It was a meeting discussing one of the most controversial votes in the city's history in recent time. It just sucks that it has to be attached to homelessness, because, again, that has no bearing on this. It has everything to do with how the counselors handled this. But, so I read those to you. Now, Counselor Sear, at the meeting, minutes after Dina Lampiazzi said, I don't even know if those comments are relevant, because they are not. This is also, quote, from Counselor Rhonda Sear. If I may, I have one correction of the facts from the initial complaint. My Facebook post was in response to the Berkshire Eagle's post about this great meeting that the community pulled together and held and invited us to attend. My comment to anybody that was watching that would see that thread was to say thank you and to say this was a great meeting. All sides of the issues will agree it was a great meeting. I did not at any time tell Mr. Daly that it was a great meeting between two sides of the argument. He started in, I don't know what that means. I guess she needs to be a victim there. I never started in with anything, but he started in. I recommended he contact the AG, and that's where the conversation ended. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, Counselor Sear, but it was not an article about a meeting that you attended. It was an opinion piece from the paper on the camping ban ordinance. That's what that was. It's right in the headline of the article. And here is your comment. You quoted. I mean, this is your comment. It's right there. You did say both sides of the issue. Well, if the issue isn't the camping ban ordinance, what is the issue? There were two sides apparently there at this meeting of the issue. What is the issue? Is it homelessness? Was it just a vague homelessness? So you had people there. If there was two sides to that, then you had people who were pro-homeless in attendance. It absolutely was. Now, did they deliberate, meaning did they talk amongst themselves? That you have to take their word for. But I took filing that complaint very, very serious, and I talked to a lot of people before I did that. And I had concerns that, because look, overall on the big scheme of things, this is pretty minute. But I kept saying to myself, just imagine if this wasn't on an issue like homelessness, but that this was attached to a landlord association, the Fraternal Order of Police maybe, holding private meetings and saying, hey, we invited the group. We invited the public, I mean. But if you're not comfortable going there and sitting with a bunch of police officers on their own territory, you might not go, right? Well, maybe some people wouldn't be so comfortable to go sit at a meeting hosted by the same people who you yell effing fascist and everything else at the council meetings. It can be a little intimidating. But hey, what do I know, right? We just have to take people's words at it. There's never been more gracious, polite people than you've ever seen. And not to mention that not everyone get to these meetings. So were the counselors there? Yes. Was there a simple majority there? Yes. Is that enough to do an investigation into it? I would think at least say, hey, man, this is a pretty hot topic right now. Were you guys discussing anything? Is this going to change the way people are voting? Are the votes going to be the same now as they were prior to that meeting? Did it have any bearing on this? I don't know. Because if people, when Counselor Warren spoke up and said, well, that's like saying we can't go to I think he said a Juneteenth celebration or a 4th of July parade or something. That's absolutely ridiculous and not even close to the same scenario. This was a meeting talking about alternatives to the camping ban ordinance held by the group who opposes the camping ban ordinance, has a petition going, is the group asking people to vote against it. It was a meeting specific to that the council would be voting on 12 days after that meeting. Now, did they vote on it? No, the meeting went too long and got sidetracked. And, again, there were some people yelling at other people in there. When they had to mention that I wasn't in attendance, why would I need to be in attendance for that? There's no way for me to interact with the counselors. The way they treated it as a joke anyway. And I have, I have documented proof from people I had conversations with about this before I actually filed a complaint. And I would never throw anybody under the bus intentionally. I can tell you right now, it wasn't Karen Kalinowski. Unbelievable. And it was a legitimate concern. Did I know if they deliberated or not? No. But is it one that's, they're kind of walking a thin line there? Did it deserve more of an explanation? Yes. But because the sensitivity of the topic, it is getting watered down and tainted and turned into something other than it is. I'm against the camping ban ordinance. A lot of people know that. That's why the funny thing is, even with Counselor Kalinowski, who is a friend, or former counselor, Karen Kalinowski, her and her husband are friends of mine. But one thing I can tell you for a fact we don't see eye to eye on is the camping ban ordinance. I'm completely against it. I don't feel that you should be implementing an ordinance. You're putting the cart way before the horse if there's no solution, meaning we don't have the facilities to take care of these people, so you're just going to put an ordinance in place. That seems ridiculous to me. And I already saw people mentioning, well, we could set up a designated area where they camp. That's exactly where things went south with Grants Pass. Exactly. But none of that should have any bearing on whether this was an open meeting law violation or not. It should not have been treated as a joke and laughed at the way it was and referred to as some frivolous complaint, and I just attacked and jumped in on Counselor Sears. You're a city councilor. Learn how to handle yourself. My God, and you're going to be there till the end of the year. I mean, never once was I unprofessional to her or anything, but she was to me. She tagged people. She tagged people from the organization to try to like deflect or start a bunch of shit. And that's exactly what she did. And then said, he started in on me. I asked her simple questions, and she lied. She lied during that meeting. And for saying that, for Councilor Lampiazzi to say those comments had no relevance, when she lied about them right in the meeting. And there is public record of that. That's what the good thing about public meetings. Anybody can look at that. You can go back and watch the opening of that ordinance and rules meeting, and you can look at the comments here. I posted on here, and they're still on the Berkshire Eagle site. And that was an article about the camping ban ordinance and homelessness. It was not an article, an opinion piece on, it was an opinion piece. It was not an article on that meeting. She made all that up. She started this. I asked her, I said, wait a minute, because when I saw her comment, I said, wait a minute, what meeting? How did I miss another meeting on this? I've been following this and I didn't know what she was talking about. I'm like, what is she talking about? They made progress. What meeting? So, and now we're supposed to believe that, hey, we were all there, but we didn't even know. Was that you across the room? I didn't even know that was you. No, we never even saw each other. And then somebody said, well, the ones that were sitting at a table together, there was one person in between them. Come on. And nobody talked with each other or any discussion about what you were discussing. That was my point with it. And if there was no violation and that is what happened, then be adults about it and say, well, we could see where there might be a concern here. There was enough for a quorum there. And it is a sensitive topic. It is one that is being talked about a lot. And there is a big vote coming up on it. But nope, let's turn it into we're the victims. And so someone like Councilor Rhonda Sear can get on there and lie. And if those aren't lies, what are they? Because if I'm lying, somebody stop me. Those are quotes that I read. Those were verbatim. So if I'm making that up, then stop me right there. Somebody show me where I'm making that up. Unbelievable. So yeah, I think I will let this go to the Attorney General's office. I wasn't even pushing this in some big way at all. All I wanted them to do was acknowledge, yeah, we might have made a mistake here and do a training class. That's all. That's all. I mean, I think that's something the counselors have to do every 2 years anyway. I think. But that's all. But no, why do something the right way and be professional about it? Accuse anybody who speaks up. How dare you question the throne? It's just like any other thing that goes on in city government. Nothing to see here. We took a complete investigation into ourselves and found out we're the best people on the planet. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to look at. You can trust us, right? Unreal. And shame people who speak up and try to make them look foolish and lie. So I'm sorry, Councilor Rhonda Sear, you lied. That makes you a liar. You did lie. So that's it. And yeah, I'm irritated with that one. Because again, that had no bad intent. There was no motive behind it. I was even nervous about doing it. And that's why I, checked with a lot of people saying, am I overlooking something? Is this not a legit concern? And what am I missing? I had that conversation with several people, and I wish some of them would say, yes, I was one of them. I wish that would happen. But if it goes to the AG's office, I can show the proof of that. And I can also show that this had nothing to do with Karen Kalinowski. Absolutely nothing. But I was glad when I saw that she filed. I said, great, someone else filed the complaint too, and she was at the meeting. But she is not the one who told me who was at the meeting and what was going on there. Not at all. So, all right, I'll beat that horse to death, I guess. So, man, I hope I feel bad for anybody who, you hear inclusive, you hear all that a lot, and it's not. Government sucks, and since I've been covering our city council, it's been like this. It's like dealing with little babies. You got to stroke their egos all the time. If you dare say one thing that could even imply that they might have done something wrong, even if it was a mistake, that you get ridiculed, and they'll try to go out of their way to embarrass you. And it's like, hey, man, have some professionalism. Really. But it is what it is. I'm running out of F's to give when it comes to city government. I really am. It's like, who cares? I love doing the advertising stuff anyway. I say this all the time, and I allow myself to drag myself back into it. I got to stop doing that. It's a no-win situation. It's a no-win situation whatsoever. You know, it's going to be what it is, and all it brings me is stress. I can't stand it. These are people that most of them I'd want nothing to do with on a personal basis. Nothing. I've learned a lot about, people that get into politics, and man, they will say whatever. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Not saying that there aren't good ones out there. There are, but the machine itself as a whole, this is why people can't stand politics. And in Pittsfield, you can't ever question anything. You'll never get answers. And I knew there would never, I didn't really expect anything different. And that's why I wasn't asking for a lot with this. I thought, well, maybe they'll acknowledge it. Because that did happen. Now, did they deliberate? I don't know. They need to answer that. They needed to answer that part of it. Because was there a good chance they might have? Yeah, they were in a small room together. In a group of 40 to 45 people. That's 15% of the audience was the city council. Talking about something that they're going to vote on, that I can't say it enough. I mean, it should be clear to everybody. Of why that was a complaint. Because everyone would feel different if that was a police group doing this before the police budget vote, if it was landlords doing it before some kind of ordinance that was going to be passed to regulate something with landlord-tenant laws. Who knows, And that's why I did it. I felt it was the right thing to do. I felt like it definitely was the right thing to do, and I still do. And there was no evil intent. Even though, I'll let it go. So that is it for now. I'm mumbling. But all right, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Support local businesses. Hit Pittsfield Rye Bakery today if you can. I think they're doing a cool customer appreciation thing. They have Brewberry up there. I'm going to hit that and some of the normal businesses I stop in. And I'm going to hit Porta Villa today for some wings and decompress there. All right, so take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be kind to each other, and I'll catch y'all in the next day or two.